Dandadan is an anime currently airing this season that blends sci-fi, horror and comedy, and it's reaching a level of popularity no one expected. The ratings are sky high, the opening is breaking records, and even your woke friend who saw animes for kids is asking about it. And it all makes sense. The aesthetic is bonkers, the characters are well written, and the story, well, it's a bit weird at first, but it's incredibly enjoyable. But what makes this anime stand out? What sets it apart from all the other shounen anime? And most importantly, why on earth is the granny so hot? My grandma just fell down the stairs. Dandadan follows two kids, Momo, a tough and outspoken girl, and Okarun, a shy weeb. Basically, they are polar opposites. One day, while Momo is walking down the hallway, she sees a guy getting bullied and thinks, I must stand up for him. She makes them stop, but what she doesn't expect is for this weeb to start following her, trying to talk to her. They start arguing, but it's not what you'd expect. Okarun insists ghosts are real, while Momo claims aliens are real, and after 5 minutes of trying to convince each other, they decide to settle it the easy way. Each goes to a location picked by the other to look for ghosts and aliens, respectively. But what neither of them expects is that they are both right. And soon, Okarun is cursed by the terrifying Turbo Granny, while Momo finds herself kidnapped by aliens. Luckily, Okarun manages to jump through a fucking phone to help Momo, and she awakens spiritual powers to save them both, also freeing him from the ghost, aka Turbo Granny, but taking his little master with her. While this is an amazing first episode, the animation quality is out of this world and the characters are super fun, the story isn't for everyone. I mean, a granny wanting to gobble your weenie or aliens going for your banana is weird. You could watch the first episode and by the end, your only reaction might be, ew, what the fuck was that? And honestly, fair enough. But there is so much more to it than that, and you shouldn't judge the show based on that alone. What made me fall in love with this anime wasn't the animation or even the hot granny. It's these small moments where the anime takes you out of its bizarre world and actually makes you feel things. The moment we see people making fun of Momo's grandma, or how Okarun wanted to meet aliens because no one wanted to be his friend. These moments are the real gems of the show. I will go into more detail later, because to understand the impact of these moments, we first need to understand who are. Whenever we think of a shonen anime, it's the characters that keep us coming back for more. It's rare to find one where you care just as much about the side characters as the main character. But I think Dandadan does an amazing job of achieving that. There is no weak link. You care about everyone's story, who they are and how they are developed. Take Momo for example. She's the kind of girl who doesn't take nonsense from anyone. She's tough and confident, but beneath that don't mess with me exterior, she's incredibly caring. A trait that is often missing in characters like her. I initially thought I'd find her annoying, but she's such a well-written character. Her no-nonsense attitude makes her feel grounded, yet she's also vulnerable in unexpected ways. For instance, when people make fun of her for taking care of her grandma, or when she stands firm in defending her beliefs, even when everyone else doubts her, it adds depth to her character. Our other main character is Okarun, and as I mentioned earlier, he's the complete opposite of Momo. Where she's brash and confident, he's shy and thoughtful. He's not overly confident, naturally talented, or your typical chosen one. He's just an awkward, ghost-obsessed kid who's been bullied his entire life. Yet instead of being bitter, he's earnest, and you can't help but root for him. Despite all the craziness he's thrown into, like Turbo Granny stealing his weenie, aliens trying to probe him, and Momo constantly teasing him, he never gives up. Okarun grows not just as a fighter, but as a person. In some ways, he's similar to characters like Deku from My Hero Academia or Zenitsu from Demon Slayer. But while those characters can often come across as annoying, Okarun never crosses that line. He's shy and awkward, but it's endearing rather than frustrating. What really makes these two characters stand out though, isn't just who they are individually, it's how they come together. Their dynamic is where the magic happens. But before we get into that, if you're enjoying this video, please consider subscribing, it really helps. Momo and Okarun's relationship starts as an awkward, mismatched partnership, but it blossoms into a genuine connection where they truly support and understand each other. It's not a forced romance, it's a beautifully awkward friendship that feels incredibly real. One of my favorite moments between them is in episode 5, when they go back to school for the first time after all the crazy events they experienced. As soon as they are in class, all they can think about is each other, talking, discussing everything that's happened, and exploring their shared experiences. It's super cute and incredibly realistic. This is such a relatable moment, getting to know someone you are really enjoying being around, yet it's so rarely portrayed in anime. In fact, anime often does the exact opposite, showing characters avoiding each other awkwardly after major events. I hate that trope because it's so unrealistic. Nobody behaves like that. It's just a pointless gimmick, and Dandadan thankfully avoids it entirely. But Dandadan doesn't stop there. Its side characters are just as captivating, each bringing their own quirks and emotional depth to the story. Seiko, Momo's grandma, was a pretty random addition to the story, but I absolutely love her. She's fierce, sassy, and always ready to throw down with whatever supernatural nonsense comes her way. For some reason, she really reminds me of Gojo. They are not all that similar, but she still feels like female Gojo to me. What I didn't expect though was for the other granny to still be around after episode 4. As a cat. I have no idea why, but she's my favorite character. Her witty banter, her ego, and her nonchalant responses bring such a unique and fun vibe to the show. Then there are characters like Aira, who... Well, what the fuck just happened with her in that last episode? Episode 7 isn't just the best episode of Dandadan so far. It's one of the best and most well executed episodes of anime in a long time. I honestly can't think of anything recent that even comes close. From the music to the action, the backstory and the incredible animation, it was outstanding in every way. If even Hideo Kojima approves of it, you know it's a fantastic episode. But what exactly did it do differently? Why are people enjoying it so much? This episode delves into the backstory of acrobatic Silky, a spirit who tried as hard as she could to make her child lives better, even at the cost of her own happiness. She endured endless suffering, sold her body, worked overtime, a depressing life where the only light came from her daughter's smile. It's a heartbreaking story, but what stood out to me was how impactful it was. It evoked powerful emotions, even though we knew nothing about the character beforehand. We often see backstories like this in anime, such as Demon Slayer or Jujutsu Kaisen, but they rarely have the same impact. They often feel like a waste of time, failing to engage the audience emotionally. I think Dandadan succeeds here for 3 key reasons. Relatability. This backstory is something you can connect with. It makes you feel the character's struggles and allows you to put yourself in their shoes, something many stories fail to achieve. Narrative relevance. As one insightful comment under a fan's video pointed it out, backstories in anime often feel inconsequential, because they are presented right before a character's death. They add nothing to the story's outcome. In contrast, while this is the end of acrobatic Silky, her sacrifice becomes a turning point for Aira, forcing her to confront her own struggles and motivating her to carry on acrobatic Silky's strength and resolve. She's someone who will continue to develop rather than die moments later. And finally, the most obvious one is exceptional production. The POV shot of her running after her child, the scenes of her dancing, it's all beautiful. And the best part is, this isn't even the first time Dandadan has delivered a moment like this. Another standout for me was the reveal of Turbo Granny's backstory. It wasn't overly dramatic, no huge build-up or 20-minute monologue. It was a simple 10-second clip that instantly conveyed her motives and gave depth to her actions. That subtlety made it all the more impactful. But Dandadan isn't just about depressing moments, it has a good balance with something else. While Dandadan knows how to hit you with emotional depth, it also knows how to make you have fun. What I love about it is that this balance feels intentionally integrated into the series, rather than being used as a cheap way to get a laugh. If you think about it, a lot of shounen anime rely on putting characters in unfamiliar situations to create humor, which often ends up as a cheap excuse for fanservice. It's not even that I dislike fanservice, but when it doesn't fit, it feels awkward and out of place. Despite all the criticism Dandadan received after its first episode, there's barely any fanservice in it, unless you count this scene, which is so tame compared to most anime that I don't think it even qualifies. The point is, none of the jokes in Dandadan feel out of place because they match the tone of the show and are mostly dialogue and character based. For example, there's a scene where our 2 main characters are in school trying to find each other, but keep narrowly missing each other by accident for a solid 2 minutes. When they finally bump into each other after giving up, the moment turns into a sudden, deep, heartfelt exchange, only for her friends to catch them, causing them them to start arguing as usual. It's funny, doesn't detract from the emotional moment, and fits the character perfectly. I also love the one-liners whether the characters throw out. Whether it's Okaru saying something ridiculous after transforming, or Turbo Granny casually calling someone a son of a bitch. It always feels natural. The randomness of the humor also works well, often catching you off guard. Take this scene for example. Why is she doing that? No one knows, but it's random and makes you laugh. While all of these elements are great, making you laugh, cry, or both, they aren't necessarily unique to the anime. What does set it apart is actually the production level of Dandadan is insane. Science Saru is an amazing studio with an impressive track record. But what they achieved here is on another level entirely. The art style is fairly unique, most similar to something like Mob Psycho 100. However, much like in Mob Psycho, the simplicity of the style allows the anime to pull off some truly crazy and dynamic sequences like this one. What really stood out though is the music. Kensuke Oshii is an absolute genius. You literally heard his work in Chainsaw Man, A Silent Voice, Devil May Cry Baby, and many other anime. In fact, most of the tracks you've been listening to in this video were composed by him. I feel like he was completely unleashed in Dandadan, especially with pieces like his rendition of the William Tell Overture during the massive crab chase scene. Overall, Dandadan isn't just another shonen anime. It's a chaotic, heartfelt roller coaster that will have you laughing, cringing, and even tearing up. It's got everything. Incredible characters, stunning animation, and a story that's as bizarre as it is emotional. If you are interested in another anime with an outstanding adaptation this season, click on this video. If you enjoyed this one, please like and subscribe. Goodbye.